Right, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. Not sure why my freaking phone is making me do it vertically instead of it's a pain in the butt, but I'll have to deal with it, I guess. So I'm gonna have to make this a lot shorter than I thought. All right, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all. A lot going on in the world today. I just kind of wanted to let people be aware because they're very well so, being that mainstream media is not going to give you this information. So anyway, let's get to it. So Israel is in a state of war. They mentioned this, a couple of days ago. They're at war with Hamas and other factions. Iran is claiming somewhat responsibility here. Hold on, I'm trying to get the article. But I think one of the most important things Americans need to realize is that, the terror threat on the U.S.-Mexico border is very real. That is almost, if you read The Art of War, what it tells you, you'd never attack an enemy head on. So it's very peculiar that, Israel, I'm not on either side, by the way. I think that this is a reaction solution to sort of deal that they have going on the public. They did this, so we have to get on their side and we got to back them up. And I think both sides, I think the Palestinians and the Israelis, I think they both have their hands dirty. But I'm not picking a side. As an American, I don't want to be drawn into another war. I don't want to see people dying, whether that's American or Palestinian or Iranian or Israeli. I don't want to see anyone dying. Sick of it. And what Americans need to understand is that, some similar to what happened in Israel, what could happen here on the homeland of the United States, because we have thousands of people each day not necessarily getting vetted properly at the border coming through. And if you scroll on my channel, just a few days ago, I went to one of these train stations where they're sending people, busing people in and out. They're going to New York, they're going to Denver, they're going to Chicago, they're going to Albuquerque, New Mexico, they're going to, and there's a few other places that they wouldn't tell us where. That video, you can find that video right on my channel. It's recent, maybe a week old or something. It's a few days old, something like that, but you can find it there. So Americans need to realize that if the U.S. gets more involved with because right now there's an aircraft carrier, General Ford, the aircraft carrier, I believe, is all, as far as what I can see, is they're already over there. They have planes touching down, dropping ammunition, dropping gear, whatever the case may be. But the ironic part is that you have the Prime Minister, I believe, of Israel saying, that it's great that you're sending bullets and gear and all that, but we need foots on the ground. We need soldiers. They're calling up their reservists. They're calling up anyone with dual citizenship, right, to come and fight. They need soldiers on the ground. They need boots on the ground. And they don't need the weaponry. They don't need the ammo. They don't need the gear. They have all that. They have the firepower. What they need is troops on the ground. So and U.S. being their main ally, it's going to be, I would hate for us to get into another war. And that's why I bring back the Art of War, not necessarily quote, but if you've read The Art of War, you understand that when you attack a powerful enemy, you never attack them head on. You always use guerrilla warfare or use other methods to take down that superior force, right? So for them to just blatantly, full force, right, straight on, to do that indicates to me that they want a reaction either from the West or from Israel. And we shouldn't take the bait. I think, and I'm not taking any side on this. Because that's the first thing they want you to do. They want you to pick a side. Oh, this person versus this person. You don't ever want to do that. You want to be clear-headed, clear-minded, and think things through. So we're going to take a look here. This is the Arizona Capital Times. My setup is kind of bad right now, so I wish I could show you guys what I'm seeing. But Arizona Capital Times saying that, you know, the Hezbollah terror threat on New Mexico border is very real, and there are many other articles indicating that. But I think anyone with a, you know, a brainstem can figure out that. I mean, even after 2001, after 9/11 attacks here in America, they said that they would enter the country and take it down from the inside. So I think it's very important that the Americans in the homeland are, you know, aware of this, and you know, if we get more involved with this war, things could, you know, potentially, you know, happen here on the homeland, and God forbid. So just trying to bring some awareness on the seriousness of this. There's more than one angle, by the way. You have Russia pretty much winning the war in Ukraine, right? The Ukrainians are sending women up to fight, which, you know, I don't think is going to do the Ukrainians any good. On top of that, on top of Russia dominating the Ukrainian aspect, you have the Chinese, who are running drills constantly around Taiwan, shooting at Japanese and Philippine fishermen, taking the South China Sea, things like that. Very, very, very like eye-opening stuff that's going around the globe right now, and mainstream media really isn't talking about it. It's barely even picking up the Israel conflict, which, if it drags us into another war, you could guess that it would probably more than likely escalate to World War III, just because of who's backing who and all that stuff. So it's very important to keep that in mind. So you have you have China and the South China, excuse me, you have the Chinese in the South China Sea, creating islands, taking territory, shooting at Japanese, Philippine fishermen, right? Just they're way out of control over there. You have the Ukraine war that was going on. Russia is totally dominating. The U.S. is just spending billions of dollars throwing it away. Now the Israeli conflict, the U.S. being the main ally to Israel, and the U.S. is pretty much like, oh, you know, like we have Biden saying, oh, Biden's a joke, but he's horrified, in that, you know, he vows to ensure Israel can defend itself. But if you go and listen to what the Israeli prime minister wants, he wants boots on the ground. He needs soldiers, he needs volunteers. And that's why he's asking for anyone with dual citizenship to come and support. But the U.S. is pretty much saying, hey, we'll give you ammo, we'll give you gear, you know, we'll give you whatever, but they're kind of holding back on that. And I think it's because of many reasons, really, but I think the U.S. might be waiting to know if Iran is involved officially, which, I mean, if you look at it, more than likely they are. So this is a time to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. We have the FBI arresting people. I don't know when this video was. Right on the FBI website, they have a video on Iran saying that they've. I don't know if it's recent, but it looks fairly recent. It's about 28 minutes long. I'm sure you could find it on YouTube. But basically, in New York City, they're like arresting. I don't know if they're Palestinians or what they are, or who they are, but they're arresting people and claiming they're, you know, plotting to, you know, take out, murder U.S. citizens. So that's you know, that's a story in itself. You know, you have protests all in certain places in Florida about this. New York City seems to be kind of getting a little heated with the tensions out in the Middle East. So it's not just affecting the Middle East; it's definitely affecting other parts of the globe as well. And so, just like what they did to Israel, it could potentially happen here in the homeland of the United States if the border is not going through more of a secure vetting process. I think the FBI is admitting that they can't even keep track of all the terror cells that are here or something like that, and it's getting a little out of hand. And I suggest everyone go and do your own research and look this stuff up for yourself, and you'll be just as concerned as I am. And that's pretty much what we got going on. I want there, on a side note, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know in the chat. But you guys have to realize that we have 0 point energy technology already, okay? Which means we could end poverty in in about a generation. So, knowing that we have this technology, why are humans still fighting humans? It's getting really sickening. On a side note, historically and statistically, UFOs, UAPs, whatever the modern day term is for them nowadays, they're more active around areas of wartime, human wartime, war activities, humans killing other humans. There's tends to be a higher UFO presence, and so I'm curious to see if anything like that. And if there's anyone watching from that region, please, we'd like to hear from you. I had a reporter out in, I'll just say the Middle East because I don't want to give away their location, but I had a reporter that was kind of willing to talk about it, but then decided not to. I was gonna bring someone on from the Middle East to talk about what was really going on out there, and giving you more of an in-depth analysis of the region from someone who lives there. So unfortunately that didn't pan out for today, and I know it's late in the US, and I'm sure if you're just waking up or going to bed, hit the like button, subscribe. Also, I would love to get out to fly. I would love to fly into Israel to document what's going on. Of course, I would need permission from the federal government, unfortunately, but I believe that if I had the funding, right, I need about $5,000 to make that trip successful, which I'm on a budget, so I don't have that right now. But I need about $5,000, a small to medium-sized team, and permission from the federal government to go ahead and document the war happening over there in Israel. So that is something that I'd love to do. And let me see if I can bring this up here. Okay. All right, just bear with me. Okay, there we go. So you have, there was a video, I'm trying to find it, of course. When I try looking things up, it can never seem to find it when I need it. But there was a video that I saw of either Hamas or Hezbollah using drones launching from Mexico into the US. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but I think that they're pretty much sending a message to the West saying, hey, listen, if you get more involved, things could end badly for you just as well. So, I'm not taking a stance on either side. I think both sides have their hands dirty, and I think that people need to stop killing each other is what it boils down to. Now, if the US, if we had a better and a more competent leader other than Joe Biden, we could have maybe someone step in over there and stop the fighting, but again, I don't see that happening anytime soon with what the US is saying. So I'm not gonna make this too long. I had a whole thing set up, but then my camera's telling me I gotta do it vertically and all this stuff. So I don't know. Things just kind of went south here as I was going live, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell, everyone. You got the Chinese running drills every day on the coast of Taiwan, ready to invade. You have the Chinese creating islands on the South China Sea into international water, claiming it's theirs, attacking Japanese and Philippine fishermen and whatever else. You have the Ukraine conflict, where Russia is just dominating uh, the war in Ukraine. And here, the U.S. is throwing billions of dollars in Ukraine, is throwing taxpayers' money into now, sending aircraft carriers and supplies to Israel. You know, if you really want to, that's one of the ways, to go against the U.S. for sure is, financially ruin them and separate their forces. So, um, and the worst part of it is that they could easily, with the thousands of people each day coming across all different points of the border from Texas to, California, Arizona, whatever, the chances of there being terror cells in those people coming over are very high. And I don't think the average police officer is, unless you had military experience, right? I don't believe the average police officer is going to be ready for, I don't know, like, who knows, if they're sending, I know the UN admits they want like 680 million people in the US from third world countries by the year 2030. So, I mean, if you have, and only if only like 1% or 2% of that is like, let's say some sort of anti-American extremist, then I mean, imagine just if they were able to organize and go into cities or whatever, towns, whatever. I don't think your average police officer would be ready. And I think in perspective, it would make 9/11 a cakewalk practically compared to what could happen. So I think it's very important, if you're an American, to be America first and not to pick a side. It's not Jews versus Muslims. Don't get caught up in that easy manipulative mindset. It's much bigger than that. Much bigger than that. Like I was saying earlier in the broadcast, the art of war, you never attack a strong enemy head on. So for them to do that. Also, I think Iran claims that I gotta find the article, but I'm almost certain that Iran was saying something that they were ready for complete war with Israel or something. So it's, crazy times to be alive. You're going to want to be prepared. And just because if you're an American, you live in the homeland, if you think, you're 100% safe from this, I mean, I'm telling you to do your research right now. They could be sending people to Mexico and then through the border. And then if the U.S. gets any more involved, it's, who, God forbid that they get, triggered to unleash whatever. So, appreciate you all watching and tuning in. You are the front of the spear here. So, and everything I'm saying, I want you to go and look up for yourself, because that's the most important thing, you being equipped with the knowledge, not just me telling you. So there's a lot unfolding. It's still currently unfolding. So, kind of going a little bit of a circle here with what I talking about, but needless to say, the Israelis, they have nuclear weapons. So does Iran. And if it's just not looking good. Hamas is saying, no prisoner swap before end of war. So if they're announcing that it's war, which it's not looking good. And, as an American, I want to put America first. I don't think it's the best for us to get involved in this. If Israel is an ally, then, yeah, sure, support them as best you can, but I do not want to see boots on the ground. I don't want to see American soldiers on the ground. The United States can't afford another war. I'm against any war, but it's just ridiculous. On top of that, Israel was a Middle Eastern superpower, or I don't know if they still are or if they were, because you know, with that straight attack that just happened on Israel, they pretty much said that they're going to go into the Gaza Strip, and so, but the thing is, when they go into the Gaza Strip, they lose hundreds of soldiers every so many kilometers or however that is worked over there. They're losing a lot of soldiers, right? So, and if they keep up their attack, then Hezbollah from southern Lebanon will invade North Israel. And Israel doesn't have enough troops to have a north flank and a south flank and to invade and all that stuff. So it, it's gonna it's Israel's gonna look very weak because they're pretty much they're either gonna have to go all in and fire nuclear weapons, or they're gonna go into a submission phase, which Israel I don't think is used to that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and how things play out, 100%. So yeah, with that being said, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, definitely let me know. I can maybe try to answer them in the chat for you. But looking at this from like a historical point of view, it's not looking good. The wheels are turning on every side here, that it's the war drums are beating, and we don't want that. For the future of everyone on the planet, we do not want that. I personally believe that humans shouldn't be killing other humans, and there's a force that drives us to do that, and it's not good. So, more developments are underway. And we have New York City is on high alert right now for lone wolf attacks. You have many, which is another aspect of us getting dragged into the war. There are many Americans, families and stuff that were in Gaza pleading for assistance. There were some that were probably taken. So it's very unfortunate, and we wish everyone a safe return and the fighting to stop. But it's not looking very good. In the UK right now, it's anti-Israel chants are punishable up to $3,000 in the UK. So you can see the absurdity of where this is going. In New York City and the state of Florida, you have protests or riots even. I wouldn't necessarily say riots, but I mean, I would probably say protests more than anything. I haven't really seen like crazy stuff take place, but I've seen clashing between both parties, organizations, if you will. So yeah, things are getting a little escalated, guys. So yeah, this is all the information. I mean, you could look this up for yourself. Yeah, so just you guys have to know, this is bigger than what anything really that's been going on. This is huge because don't forget, when Trump was in office, he drone striked the Iranian general. I forget his name, but he striked, killed him, whatever. There are many cards for the establishment to play. They could be like, well, now because Trump was in office and he did that, it pretty much triggered this, so it's all Trump's fault. And it's like you can kind of see where they're going with it. You know what I mean? If they play their cards right, they can make this really bad. So I wouldn't be surprised if Iran, if they do get involved and they say, oh well, we're attacking the West because you killed our general, so um and yeah, I'm gonna be reading some of your comments as we go through here, so I might be kind of all over the place. I'm getting, I think of one thing and it leads to another thought. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to mention that. So bear with me. So yeah, it definitely does seem like a setup, and I'll tell you why. In 2003 or 2006, I forget, but there was a Israeli soldier who was interviewed. We're gonna probably have to look this one up. I haven't seen it in a while. Don't know if they've scrubbed it off the internet or whatever. But there is, or you might even be able to go to David Icke and maybe he has it on his platform or whatever. But in 2003 or 2006, I forget the year, roughly around that time, they interviewed a soldier saying that Israeli soldier saying that it didn't matter if a bird, they would know if a certain bird got close to the wall. They would even be able to know if a cockroach got close to the wall. So for them not to know that like 10,000 people or 100, 400 people, it's very suspicious that they did not, that this occurred. You know what I mean? Their intelligence agency is better than the United States intelligence agency. So for them not to be unaware of this, and on top of that, imagine living I can't even comprehend that they didn't not know, because how do you live next to a bunch like of countries that dislike you and want to more than likely go to war with you? You know what I'm saying? You would be always on edge. You would always be cracking down on intelligence information, So uh, highly suspicious, right? Highly suspicious. Again, that goes back to the art of war. You never attack an enemy head on that's powerful. Typically, you do guerrilla warfare, you use other methods, right? So for them to that's it's reaction what the hell is it called? It's like reaction, response, solution, right? Oh, they got bombed. Oh, we gotta go. Oh, they want you to pick a side, right? No, you gotta just like just like it's just crazy the times we live in and how manipulated people can get. People have to just they have to they can't have their emotions drive them. They gotta relax and they gotta look at it logically and go over the facts. I think that whoever was in charge of the defense there in Israel, whoever had the authority in that sector, definitely needs to be put under a spotlight and interviewed, talked to, questioned, because that's ridiculous. And you know what? It's fueling because what's going to happen now is they're so upset, they're going to go in and attack. You know who's taking the brunt of this all? The citizens, right? The men and women and children who are just trying to live their lives are going to take the brunt of this. It's not, you know what I mean? So when one side attacks, the other side's going to attack, and it just fuels it both ways, and that's the reaction, solution, response they want you to get involved in. So let me read some of your comments here. So yeah, the Marines say they have many anti-aircraft defenses. Um, there's no way they got through Mossad and the Iron Dome. Yeah, exactly. If you're an American tuning in, you got to understand that their intelligence agency like surpasses the CIA, surpasses a lot of the United States intelligence. And so if you're surrounded by many countries that either dislike you or want to go to war with you, your intelligence is going to be through the roof. It's going to be like better than most, because it's life and death at the end of the day. So for them, and you have to understand too, Israel has some of the cutting edge technology available, right? I was just talking about how there was an interview you can find, hopefully on the internet still. I've seen it a while ago. Um, You might even be able to find it on David Icke's channel, platform, whatever. But talks about how, like, over 10 years ago or something, that they had the technology to know what exact bird is flying up to the fence or to the wall, and they could even tell if there was a cockroach there. So for them not to know 400 people are massing, it's kind of not just suspicious, but that's someone definitely purposely let that happen, and it's more than likely to get a response from the West. It's everything is to bring the United States down, because what's happening in Ukraine, right? Russia's dominating. I don't have a side on that, by the way, but Russia's dominating. That's just the facts. Russia's dominating the Ukraine war. What's the U.S. do? Oh, here's billions of dollars, right? Now, does that help the American taxpayer? Absolutely not. Now, with what's happening in Israel and America being the number one ally of Israel, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the U.S. is going to be like, well, here's some bullets, here's some gear, here's some night vision, but we're going to stay over here? Or because what's going to happen is, if the U.S. gets further involved, it brings me back right to what I was talking about before with Mexico. Mexico, they're going to launch. There's videos. You might even be able to find it, like, on some sort of on some website here. Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking to you guys. But all right, Mexico. I appreciate you all tuning in, by the way. It's been a while since I've gone live, but I just figured it just had to be talked about, because it's not just Israel, it's China, it's Russia, major superpowers that are engaging in warlike activity. All right, Mexico. All right, let me see. Launch. Okay. Let me see what I can find here. So, all right, it's gonna take me some time to find that, but I seen the video on another platform of just like they use paragliders to go over the wall in Israel, they're gonna use drones from the Mexico side, and either Texas, Arizona, or like San Diego, California, somewhere Southern California would be probably hit first, I would assume. If the U.S. engages more in this, I think that's what Iran is saying. Let me see if I can bring up what they're saying on their end. But from my understanding, Iran is pretty much saying, like, if the U.S. gets further involved, they're gonna get involved, and the U.S. doesn't like Iran, so you can see the war drums beating. It's not good, guys. It's not good at all. And so I'm more than willing to put a team together, a small team to a medium-sized team, and fly into Israel and film and interview what's going on. More than willing to do so. It would cost me about $5 to $8 grand. I'll do it with $5 grand. So if that funding ever came in, just know that's where and if I got permission from the federal government, of course, because I'm kind of on a thin rope with them. If they allow it, then I would most certainly go with a small or medium-sized team to get you the footage and the interviews that need to be talked about. So I'm willing to do so if the funding is there. I've been on a budget lately, guys. That's why I don't upload a lot. I'm trying to focus on a lot of things, as everyone is in America. A lot of things are changing fast. Prices are going up. You know what I mean? Families to support. So you can just imagine. At the end of the day, if you're an American watching this, I think the most important thing to do is don't get caught up on, you know, don't go into the MK Ultra of we got to pick a side, or oh, it's Jews versus Muslims or Muslims versus Jews. No, 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 no. That's how you're going to get manipulated. And you're going to get manipulated into another war, whether that's just another country war or a world war. It's not good. The United States has been in a war, like the U.S. keeps getting into wars, everyone, and it's just ridiculous. It needs to stop. So, as an American, you need to just take a step back. You don't pick a side. Both sides have their hands dirty, right? You can't say, well, oh, blah 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 blah, and well, this because of that, and it's like, well, both sides have done some pretty bad things, and I think as an American, you should step back and be like, okay, they definitely want to financially ruin the United States by doing this. This is a clear intimidation tactic to involve the West further. They didn't get involved without. I mean, they spent billions of our money sending to Ukraine, so they could see that and be like, oh well, let's further ruin the American wallet here by starting this war. There's a lot of aspects and scenarios and cards and stuff that can be played, of course, but you know how much the establishment dislikes Trump. So, and remember, Trump drone strike the Iran general. So Iran could be like, hey, you killed our guy, and this gives us justification to go to war with you, pretty much, and the gloves are off, type of thing. So, and then you'll hear here in the West, right, in America, you'll be like, well, Donald Trump, he did that, so it kind of they'll back them. You know what I mean? I'm not taking a side. I'm just saying, like, see how ludicrous things could get. Like, you know what I mean? Like how much they can exaggerate one thing. They're going after. They're focusing more on conflict than they are focusing on peace and resolution. So, Israel was once a superpower of the Middle East. They can't afford to send troops to their northern flank, to their southern flank. Hezbollah in northern Lebanon, southern Lebanon, is saying, if you go into Gaza any more than pretty much you have, we're going to come in through the north of Israel. And then you have, this, so, and then on top of that, Israel has nuclear weapons. So if you believe that they're going to go down without a fight, or they'll launch those as a last resort. And if one country launches, then you can better believe they're all launching, and then it doesn't matter where you live after that, you will be affected. So, I don't know what to do other than to talk about this and tell you how real this is. As an American, the conflict, if you don't think the conflict could reach our shores, I think you're highly mistaken. I think that there are many with what the people. You can go to my channel right now and scroll down. It's a recent video, and we go to one of these like checkpoints or train station, bus stations where they're shipping in and out migrants from Mexico, and they tell us straight up that they're going to New York, they're going to Chicago, they're going to Denver, they're going to many other places that they probably didn't tell us. One was Albuquerque, New Mexico. They can stay right in whatever crossing they crossed over to. They can stay in that area. So imagine this scenario of, the U.S. is like, oh, we're going to war, we're going to back Israel. And next thing you know, there's tens of thousands of, whether that's Iranian, whether that's whoever it is that's anti-American, just gets activated in your city, in your town. Do you think the average police department's ready for that? No, they're not. So it would make 9/11 look like a cakewalk compared to what could happen. And I don't think the United States government has ever dealt with something to that extreme. And I don't know what would really take place. The best thing to do is really, that's why it's so important that the people that watch this broadcast, I know you guys know, but many people don't know. Many people are stuck in their phones all day, and they're stuck in the MK Ultra of like, hey, my life hasn't been affected yet because I can still order, pizza and watch Netflix. So, there's a day if people don't, you know, start doing their own research and start realizing that, hey, like things are actually a lot more worse than I thought they were. American ignorance could be the downfall of Western civilization because, the Americans are allowing thousands a day. And even if you go to the FBI website, the FBI even admits that they can't even keep track of like the terror cells here in the U.S. So it's important to, stock up on storable food and water. It's important to be very friendly with your neighbors and have, whether you're in the big city or if you're in a small rural town, suburb, whatever, it's very important to be friendly with your neighbors and to have maybe some sort of like emergency plan in place, like you would like, when you were growing up and you'd have like fire drills and stuff. Not necessarily a drill, but you should probably talk to your neighbors and be like, hey, listen, we're living some pretty, sketchy times, like just remember, I got your back, you got mine. Could be really that simple, because if any American is gonna overcome this, united we stand. So, again, that's hypothetically speaking. I'm just talking to you. I'm based off of world events, documents that I'm seeing coming out, and what the leaders are saying of opposition of this. So, aircraft carrier General Ford is, I believe as far as I know, I believe they're already there near Israel. So Israel is prepping ground invasion, and Hamas is threatening to execute hostages. So that's pretty much the time zone we're at. Hamas is saying we're not even going to negotiate the hostages until the end of the war. So I don't think there's going to be an end in sight, especially if you just watch the dialogue between what Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran are saying, and then you watch what Israel is saying and the U.S. is saying. It ain't going to be over soon. So it's just wild the times we live in. Yes, I'm reading your comments as we go here, so bear with me. Yeah, I've seen that last comment about them being well dressed and clean. Excuse me, I have noticed that. I have seen it's not in every video that I've seen that they were like that though, but I have seen many videos of them clean cut and shaved and everything like that. On top of that, if you go and look, not many, only a vast majority of people coming across the Mexico-U.S. border are military-aged men. They're not necessarily women and children. There are a couple. In the video I did on my channel, you can see there's a couple, but a lot of it is like military-aged men. So just another, fact to be concerned about. Just crazy, guys. China. We were talking about China earlier. We were talking about in the UK how you can be charged you can be fined $3,000 for saying anti-Israeli statements or something. So where is it? Anti-Israeli chants punishable by fine up to $3,000 in the UK. So things are escalating quickly. Doesn't matter where you live. There's protests happening all across the United States over this conflict. The United States government is just not where it needs to be right now. They need to be a lot more focused in on world peace, considering we are still the world's currency, which China and Russia are definitely trying to undo as quickly as they can. But this is it, everybody. This is it. You're living in times that, if oh my god, that's how crazy it is, everyone. Uh, Trying to bring up some more articles here for you. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens because, with Hezbollah wanting to invade Israel from the north, and Israeli saying, we're going into Gaza, it's going to make Israel look very weak because Israel needs troops on the ground more than anything. They don't need the gear. They don't need the weaponry. They have all that. The U.S. is only offering weaponry and probably intelligence and gear, ammunition, things like that. So everything the Israelis don't need is what we're offering the U.S. So that's why it's very concerning, because obviously that conflict is going to increase. So being a major ally of Israel, what is the U.S. going to do? I'm curious to see what the audience thinks. If you think the U.S. will totally back down, not help Israel, or if you think the United States will be gun-ho and go full in. I don't really see a medium or an alternative other than those two that the U.S. could do because of how long Israel has been an ally of the U.S. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen, how things are going to play out. And you have to remember, Iran has nuclear weapons. Israel has nuclear weapons, right? So if you think that if both sides are pretty much fighting to the end there, or they're claiming that they want a fight, then you can imagine that if one of them is going to lose, they would use a last resort weapon, right? So that's the scary part, is that nuclear war could break out. That would affect everyone on the globe, no matter where you live. Because if Israel's going to launch theirs, Iran's going to launch theirs, and you know what, and that could trigger China or Russia to launch theirs. Who knows? But yeah, scary times to be alive, and that's why it's really important for you to be listening to this broadcast and sharing this broadcast. There are many other outlets, not many, but there are a few that are talking about this. There are many different angles. Things are still developing as we speak, obviously. So this is kind of, I'll probably wrap this up in about 10 minutes, but you got to understand that things are starting to escalate more and more, and it's important to put peace first, not to pick a side, and to let peace prevail, hopefully, because this is just ridiculous. We have to stop the fighting. We could be doing so much better on planet Earth. For example, we have something called 0-point energy technology. In June of this year, I was in DC at a national press conference regarding UFOs and advanced suppressed technology. I've seen the documents. I've talked to the witnesses, the eyewitness testimonies. I've seen them. I've talked to even some of those people. I've seen the government documents. And I'm telling you, if you guys seen what I've seen, you would be like, what? Why are we fighting over that when we all could have free, clean energy and not pay taxes and just, live in harmony amongst each other and travel the cosmos? You would be asking yourself the same question. So, that's why it's very important not to pick a side and get wrapped up in this, because the more people that they can get angered by this, obviously there has been horrific things happen on both sides, right? And both sides have their hands dirty. And that's why it's very important to take a step back and be like, you know what? If you're an American, you can be an Australian, you can be a Canadian, you can be a Zimbabwean, you can be whatever country you're from, and you don't have to be necessarily an American, but let's just say you're an Australian and you're viewing this, you should be like, well, okay, I'm not going to pick a side. I hope that peace prevails, but I need to be Australia first. Or if you're an American, you should be America first. Or if you're, Canadian, you should be Canada first, right? And I think if more, citizens do that, we can take ourselves out of these wars. Because guess who's going to take the brunt of all this? The citizens. The Israelis bombing Gaza and stuff? Those are all innocent civilians getting killed, right? And vice versa. Like Hamas came and killed the people at the festival and took them hostage. Those were innocent people just trying to have a good time. So the only people that are going to suffer are the populace, not so much the people giving the orders. And I think if both the people that were fighting each other, if they were just like, whoa, 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 you'd understand that if they just came to a stop and realized, wait, the same people are, wait a minute, we're fighting each other while those people are just, wait a second here. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, whoever's in charge of this is very smart. They're, like I said before, reaction, solution, response. The reaction happens and the solution is like, oh, we gotta go and attack them back, and that's not necessarily the case. So I think if more people decided to be more focused on what is actually, because if you're an American watching, I don't believe, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm also an American, but do you think getting into another war in the Middle East is worth it? Do you think more Americans dying is worth it? You know what I'm saying? Do you think, on top of that, we're getting involved. That could go to a whole other standpoint too. There's a religion aspect of that where it's not good, guys. The more you analyze this, the more the more cards you can see they can play here to play this out. So I'm gonna read some of your comments here. Okay. So, yeah, do you guys have any comments or questions or concerns? I know I'm kind of going all over the place here. I was a little ill prepared. I was having trouble with the TV behind me. I was gonna have stuff playing for you guys. I wanted my phone not to be vertical, but it wouldn't allow me to do that. And I was hoping to show you also articles here and some footage, but it did not work out the way I planned. So hopefully in the future, when there's more updates, we can get to those updates. But some of the key things you got to take away from this broadcast is that it's not just Israel. China is constantly running drills and alarms trying to invade Taiwan. They're creating islands in the South China Sea, taking international water, claiming they're theirs. They're attacking Japanese and Philippine fishermen. The Russia-Ukraine conflict. You know what I mean? The U.S. is just throwing billions of dollars. What happens now? You know what I mean? What happens if, and this is still developing, but what happens if we find out China is going to take the side of Iran? Right? It's not good. This is just not good, people. So you want to just take away that there's more than one aspect to what's happening. Clearly, Israel is not all powerful like they claim to be, which means they're going to plead for help from the U.S., which means the U.S., if you're looking at it from a historical point of view, the U.S. is going to want to get involved in another war, and the military-industrial complex is going to fund both sides of that war. So who's really winning here? The military-industrial complex. And who's losing? The people of Earth. So it's not good, guys. It's not good. So yeah, that's the takeaway from this broadcast. You have to understand that there's more than one aspect. It's not just Israel. You have China that's out of control. You have Russia that's dominated the Ukraine conflict. They're pretty, the West is pretty much powerless in that sector, unless we're going to keep throwing billions at them. Now the world is watching to see what the U.S. is going to do in Israel. And if Israel gets more, if the U.S. gets more involved in Israel, Iran or some anti-American organization will more than likely launch uh, an invasion through Mexico with their sleeper cells that they have crossing the border each day in the thousands, military-aged men. So your average police officer is not going to be equipped for tens of thousands of people in Denver or New York City or wherever, San Diego, if they just go loose and they start, attacking American institutions and festivals and whatever. So it's not good, guys. That's why it's very important to share this broadcast, or maybe just take a clip of what's really important, because I kind of go off on the tangent. But it's important to do your own research. It's important for you to pick up your cell phone and do exactly what I'm doing and talk about it. And, just say, hey, listen, as an American, I hope things get settled. I hope things peacefully can work themselves out. But right now, we gotta focus on making this country safe and making this country, sustainable, and making this country able to help other countries if they need it. You know what I'm saying? We have to really take care of ourselves before we get involved in any sort of war elsewhere, whether that's a global war or just a regular old-fashioned country war. It's not good. It's not good, guys. And so I appreciate you all tuning into this broadcast. We're going to have more developments on the way. I'll probably go live when I hear more information, but that's the reality we live in. So, yeah. Do you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns? If so, I'll definitely answer them now. If not, I think I'm going to wrap up this broadcast. So, it's been about like an hour. I was hoping just to go for 10 or 15 minutes because I had a issue here, but that's what happens when you get talking. You just keep going. So I could talk about what's happening all night, but you aren't going to want to hear me constantly talk about the same stuff and some new things. So I'm also trying to see what's currently developing here. But just know, if I'm able to get permission from the federal government, get $5,000 and a small to medium-sized team, more than willing to go to Israel and document what's happening and interview individuals on both sides. So I'm hoping that the funds can come through for that, because if the funds come through for that, it's very easy for me to convince people within my circle and outside my circle that this is possible. We can do this. We can go and get the footage. So, yeah, with that being said, hope you all have a great night, great morning, wherever you're tuning in from. The wars have to stop. The dying has to stop. We have to just come together more, find the common ground. If you're an Australian, focus more on Australia. If you're a Canadian, focus more on Canada. If you're an American, focus more on America. If you're, South African, focus more on South Africa, etc. You know what I mean? And I have I know the listeners and viewers know this already, so, all right. I just don't want to forget anything and be like, oh, I should have talked about that. So, yeah. That's pretty much it. If you want to know about, you can go to the, where is it? Arizona Capital Times, the Washington Institute. There are those are some, I don't necessarily trust them, but they are reporting that the terror threat on the U.S.-Mexico border is very real, and don't just like 9/11, a lot of Americans were caught off guard, didn't think it was possible. You definitely don't want to be thinking like that again. I think that it's very possible. There's a mosque in Mexico that they're using to get to get them into the U.S. That's been confirmed. There's been a lot of things that are happening that are very concerning. So be prepared. Be friendly with your neighbors. You know, your family members, your neighbors, your friends, people you see on the sidewalk. Now's not in America, at least. Now's not the time to be, you know, thinking you're the big wig here. You know, with your chest out, walking around. That you know what I'm saying. That now is not the time for that. It's the time now is really to be prepared and to you know, just be prepared, and hopefully everyone stays safe because things are really escalating. So yeah, I could pretty much keep talking about the same stuff, guys. Also, on a side note, UFO activity is at the highest when humans are engaging in warfare. I know in Afghanistan and Iraq, many U.S. soldiers reported seeing strange, you know, objects in the sky, things like that. So I'm curious to know if the same thing is happening over there in that region. And again, if you're from Israel, if you're from, you know, the Gaza Strip, if you're from, you know what I'm saying, if you're from Iran, whatever, reach out. Love to interview you. This is a neutral space here. I'm not picking any side. Just laying down the facts of what the U.S. is saying, what the Israelis are saying, what, you know, what these terror cells are claiming and saying. So, yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If more information develops, I'll probably go live again. I'm not tonight, obviously, but in the future. So, yeah, guys. Do you guys have any comments or questions? I'd love to answer at least something here. I know. Shout out to the people. I'm going to shout some of the people out who have been commenting, like Mike Jones, Humphrey Bumbles here, Kate. I'm not kicks to the head there. Yep. Case. That's a good statement. So appreciate you all tuning in, just going through. So yeah, there we go, guys. That's pretty much it. Stay tuned to the Allen Report. Shout outs to Auditing America. He has some crazy footage regarding the First Amendment and constitutional protected activities coming. Go to his channel, check it out. I've been doing some First Amendment audits, been feeling great. I think every American should go out and do an audit at least once in their life. That's just how I see it, but tune into his channel. He has a lot of great content coming. You really have to check it out. So subscribe to Auditing America. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Allen Report here on YouTube. I'm really trying to get the funds to get to Israel with a small to medium-sized team to document and interview what's happening out there, so we can have a more direct understanding of the situation out there as Americans. So that's my plan, my goal. I don't know if I'll reach that goal. I need like at least 5,000 US currency to make that happen. I really don't see that happening, but you never know. So gonna try to do that. It's very unlikely. I would love to do it though. On top of that, if you're an American watching this and you live in the southern South there, just be aware that there are more than likely terror cells coming through the border. There's 1,000 people a day on just one front. Not even one day. I think in the video I did, the lady said there was 1,000 people just like within a couple of hours. So tons of people are flooding across the U.S.-Mexico border. If you go to the United Nations website, they want 600 million people in the U.S. from third world countries to come to the United States by the year 2030. So you can just see the madness here. So everyone stay safe, be well equipped, be well aware that times are changing faster than you may realize. And just remember, just stay, before, don't ever pick a side. Take a step back, analyze the situation, and hope for the best. Ultimately, so it's your boy, the Allen Report. I love seeing you guys tune in. Appreciate you all. And if you're from Israel, if you know anyone who wants to talk about it, who's from the region, get in contact with me. Whatever. I work for you, the people. I do this not because I make tons of money, but because I enjoy and I'm passionate about filming and passionate about knowing the facts about what happens. So, and I also love meeting new people and networking with great people, traveling, eating good food, things like that. But that's kind of like a second hand thing. So yeah, gonna continue doing some research throughout the night here, and maybe have some new developments for you for tomorrow, or maybe within a couple of days or so. I got a video to release, a First Amendment audit to release soon. But yeah, guys, a lot of protests happening in Florida, a lot of protests happening in New York City. And if there's a protest happening in your city, in your neck of the woods, in your town, get a hold of me. I'd love to come and document and ask some questions. So that's pretty much the plan, guys. Things are going to escalate quickly. You know, remember Trump, he drone strike the Iranian general. Iran was pissed about it before, and I'm sure they're now going to use that to escalate their forces to do whatever. There's a lot of fronts to look at, a lot of cards that can be played, if the establishment plays them, which it looks like they will. So yeah, guys, it's crazy times we live in. But yeah, the suppressed technology, when I was in DC around June, it's just crazy, guys. It's just freaking crazy. I just can't get over it. But all right, I'm gonna get off now because I'll just keep talking about what we just talked about. So if you're just tuning in, go back, watch this video. I kind of cover a whole slew of things, from advanced technology, suppressed advanced technology, UFOs, to the U.S.-Mexico border, where there could be terror cells coming in if you're an American. There's also the Chinese conflict that's arising very quickly. They're out of control over there. And you also have the Russia-Ukraine conflict, where Russia is completely dominating that sector. So I don't take a side on the Ukraine conflict. I think as an American, we shouldn't be sending billions of dollars over there. That's just my opinion. When it comes to Israel, I'm not picking a side either. And hopefully peace can prevail. So that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, let me know in the live chat now, or if you're gonna watch this video later and you have a question, comment away, and I'll if I see it, I'll answer it. And so yeah, we're just gonna keep moving forward. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's all I got to report on tonight. So yeah, shout outs to Auditing America. Shout out to anyone that is taking the time to talk about real world events, to talk about the Constitution. Shout out to anyone like that. So we're reporting live from Austin, Texas. So yeah, what do you guys think about, I know I keep saying I'm getting off, but I don't want to get off just yet. So what do you guys think of the current conflict that's happening? Do you really believe Iran or Hezbollah or Hamas will send terror cells through Mexico into the U.S.? Do you believe the U.S. should totally get involved with the war in Israel and put boots on the ground? I'd like to know your stand on things, and perhaps I can maybe answer as best I can. All right, well, let me see. We haven't had any comments, so let me see if I can find something. Maybe something has updated in the time that we have been talking. It doesn't look like anything new, really. Just kind of the same old stuff. Oh, shoot. Just exited out of something I didn't want to exit out of. Oh, okay. Oh, damn it. All right, guys. That's pretty much it, really, in a nutshell. Israeli was once a superpower of the Middle East. It looks like they're no longer a superpower because Hezbollah is pretty much saying if you continue or if you invade the Gaza Strip any further than you have, we're going to invade Israel from the north. And so Israel, what did Israel do? I don't think they've engaged as many as boots on the ground because they're low on personnel, but I think they've started using artillery and mortar strikes and things of that nature instead. And they've kind of they put a lot more of their troops, I think, towards the northern border of Israel, with some remaining in the southern. They lose too many troops when they go into the Gaza Strip. So I think they're just using artillery at this point. So it shows you that Israel isn't as strong as they claim because outside forces are pretty much restricting them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, late developments are going to continue. I'm hoping to get some footage, hopefully at Eagle Pass or some sort of other U.S. border checkpoint. So there's a lot to be filmed. There's so much information to go over. Honestly, it's kind of concerning because a lot of it is just a lot of war drums beating. You can just see both sides. The conflict it's not good. I was really wishing. I was watching the American Journal, and he had a good point. He mentioned, if America was, a little more had their head on their shoulders, right? The Americans could come in and be like, the teacher, and say, hey, we're gonna stop fighting. We're gonna come to a peaceful resolution, and if any of you cross that line, you're gonna deal with me. And unfortunately, the Biden administration is not a very good doesn't have a very good foreign I can't think of the word right now, but a foreign like action plan to solve things. Their solution is just throw money at it, which just makes the average American citizen poorer because our taxes go up, which, by the way, they print money out of thin air, but we have to pay taxes. Tell me what kind of bullshit is that? Oh my goodness. Ridiculous. They print money out of thin air, but they want you to pay it. And then they tax you on something that's already been taxed. It's like, oh my goodness. So, yeah, it's quite crazy, guys. I'm going to continue doing my research here. Yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'd love to get to Israel to document. If I can't get to Israel, chances are I'll be somewhere else in the U.S. filming the protests that are happening over this conflict. So I would prefer just go straight to the conflict and freaking document and ask questions over there. And I have the team pretty much assembled. They're just not willing to go because I just don't have the funds available. So we'll see what happens on that front. But more than likely, I won't be able to make it over there. That's just the sad truth. But I like to manifest things into existence. So hopefully, maybe something will change. Maybe some multi-millionaire will see my video and be like, oh, I'm gonna fund the Allen report, and I'll be able to go out there and get the footage and information every person on planet Earth needs. That would be ideal. If not, that's okay too. I'll just have to resort to filming protests in the United States. But the Allen report, a worldwide documentarian. If you read my bio, says I document events worldwide. So I would really love to get a sponsor or a large enough donation to actually fulfill what I claim to be. So that's actually the only thing I haven't done is I haven't filmed a protest or outside of the country, which is on my to-do list. So I know that there was a protest in Mexico recently. So I can't not go to Mexico though. Unfortunately, my passport has expired. So anyway, any who's and bees, guys. Appreciate you all tuning in. Remember, you are the front of the spear here at the Allen Report. And with viewers like you, I'm able to be more successful, and I'm able to get the information and film footage you need, so you can share it with your friends, family, your community, the world, the nation. You go to my channel. I have footage from January 6th, the Capitol, of a cop, of an American cop getting punched in the face. Doesn't do anything about it. That video is historical because two things. When have you ever seen an American cop get punched in the face and not do anything about it? First. And second of all, because of the establishment making it such a big deal for that day, it's just historical in nature. So on top of that, I was at the 2020 riots in Portland, Oregon, when they were battling the federal government. I was at the CHOP zone, or the Chaz zone, in Seattle, Washington, when government officials weren't even allowed in the vicinity. I've done some pretty crazy things, gone to some pretty crazy places, and documented many historical and interesting and amazing things throughout the U.S. So go take a look at what I've already done. And as things continue to escalate here in the United States and around the world, it's just going to be more for me to film. So, excuse me. Yeah, so I think New York is going to be a place you might see me next to do a lot of filming. New York or Florida seems to be one of the two biggest places right now. But I'm sure as time goes on, things will develop even further, and I'll have another analysis or a better understanding of how to go about things. So one step at a time, of course. I appreciate you all more than you know. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much all I have to say tonight regarding the conflict in Israel and what could happen here in the United States through the Mexico border. So I appreciate you all. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Until next time, stay tuned for the videos that I share. I also have a recent video of the a police officer saying that they're sending the migrants to New York and to Denver and to Chicago, to Albuquerque. So go check that video out too. Those are your tax dollars at work right there. Just a lot of crazy things are happening, and and I know the people watching this broadcast, I know that you are already very much aware and in tune, and in some cases, probably even more knowledgeable than I am on certain things. Because let's face it, I'm not an expert on many things. I'm definitely an expert on the job that I do, but I'm not a know-it-all. You know, I don't know everything. So sometimes the audience can also educate me, and also sometimes the people in my audience are so much well more informed than I am. They'll reach out and they'll be like, "Hey, listen, this is what you missed, and here's where you can find it." And then I am able to do my research, and I'm like, "Whoa!" Now I can bring this to the table and talk about it. So, um, you know, you guys are the tip of the spear. You know, if you like it or not. So, appreciate you all. This is the Allen Report signing off. Until next time, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, share. Appreciate you all, and I will see you next time. Peace.